Now you're welcome back to the show. We're going to turn our attention to boxing because there is lots going on. We are joined by Mr. Eric Donovan, friend of the show. How you doing, Eric?
Well, Joe, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, very well. So you're in action once again. You're taking on just a two-time Olympic gold medalist, which is a hell of a choice.
Relatively unknown fella from somewhere in the hills of Cuba, I think.
Apparently they're good at boxing. Apparently they're good at boxing. So Robeisy Ramirez, February 26th in Glasgow is your next fight. This is on the undercard to the Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall fight. So February 26th in Glasgow. This will be live on Sky Sports. I guess you kind of put this up there as big a fight as you'll ever take on.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, Joe. I think it's the biggest fight in my career. I think it is. I think it's the biggest fight in my career, and certainly the biggest reward as well. Like, you know, even though, funnily enough, it's a non-title fight, but the winning this fight, the possibilities are endless, you know, because anyone that's not familiar with the professional boxing game and the ranking point situation, it's a snakes and ladders game, you know. One win can catapult you forward and put you into great position to capitalise, and, you know, you could be talking, winning this fight could be talking about world title fights, etc. Big fights, and then obviously losing, you know, you don't want to think about it.
No.
Yeah.
So his profile, again, he's 28 years of age at this stage. He was the flyweight champion in 2012 at the London Games, and then came back 4 years later and was bantamweight champion in 2016. You would have commentated him a few times as well, I was reading.
I would have, yeah, I would have watched him and commentated on him and analysed him, and he put Michael Conlan out of the London Olympics in the semi-finals stage that time. You know, he went on and won the gold that time. He's only 19 years old. He burst onto the scene. You know, that's when everyone became aware of him for the first time. And, you know, he was a class act, really. And he went along, you know, we know how hard it is to win, to even get to the Olympics, never mind win one, but then to go back and defend his title, you know, in a new weight category as well. So at the bantamweight, and he's turned professional now. So, like, yeah, he's like, you know, he's a phenomenal athlete, class act. And that would have been my opinion of him while I was doing the commentary or doing the comms for him or analysing him or whatever. And my opinion hasn't changed. You know, it hasn't changed. So, it's going to be one hell of a fight. It's going to be one hell of a difficult task. But I'm pumped for it. I'm ready for it.
How did all this come about?
It's funny, you know, because I was in training for a fight back home in here in Ireland. So it was in Belfast. Mark Dunlop, my manager, was putting on a show, and we were actually looking at getting maybe an intercontinental title fight, like a world ranking title fight. We were trying to get a good opponent, a good solid opponent, and maybe even the possibility of a European title fight. That's what we were looking. We were looking for a big fight, you know. And the sponsorship team and the team that I have around me, with, you know, Bear and Point and you know, Liffey Crane Hire and Kendra and this Novo Technologies. These are my sponsors and back end, and they were all coming together as well to make the January fight night, you know, a big one. And then the British Boxing Board of Control, they control all boxing in the UK. So Belfast falls under that kind of umbrella, and they cancelled all boxing shows for January. So I was kind of disappointed then, because Mark said, oh, well, you know, there's no more availability in February, or it could be March or April before we get out. And then this fight came up, you know, just came out of blue. Mark obviously was contacted, and he said it to me, well, would you be interested in fighting Robeisy Ramirez on the undercard of Jack Catterall versus Josh Taylor for the undisputed world title? You know, 15,000 people, Hydro Arena in Glasgow. And I have to say, he didn't have to ask me twice.
God, amazing. Isn't it strange how things suddenly manifest out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And how has he done in the pros? Eric. Oh, apologies. Slight delay in the line there. I was just asking, how has he done in the pros then? Because such a stellar amateur career. Where is he in the pros, or how's he done since he made the change?
He's 8-1 at the moment, but he's well up there. He lost his debut, would you believe?
Right.
I wouldn't be too critical over it, though, because I think it was a bad move putting him into a 4-round debut fight. You know, it should have put him into a 6-rounder, 8-rounder. 4-rounders are kind of really for lads that kind of professional boxers starting out at the bottom rung of the ladder, really, just to kind of get a bit of experience. But he was a double Olympic champion. He should have been fighting in a 6 or 8-round fight. And so what happened was, in his debut, he got caught in the first round and he got dropped. He was more or less, he got caught with a good punch, but he was more or less off balance. But what happens there is you lose the round by 10-8. So you kind of lose the first round by 2 points. So you have to play catch up. You're having to win all next 3 rounds, and don't think he did. He might have drew one of them or lost one of them again, and then sure, look, he would never go. You know, he was always kind of playing catch up after that. But he rectified it. He had another rematch against the same opponent, and he put that kind of argument to bed with a dominant display. Couple of fights later. But his last 3 or 4 fights were against good opposition, and now he's motoring. You know, he's going really well now, and he's in a very, very strong position and looks set to have, you know, a big future in the game, like Top Ranker looking after him. And honestly, I don't really look into too much of his fights. I don't look into too much of his career. Like, I just had a browse over it, you know, and because the more you look at somebody, well, for me anyway, you can kind of make them out to be better than what they are, or worse than what they are, or whatever. I just kind of feel like it's out of my control. So, and then the opponents that he's in against, if he's looking good against them, but they're not me, you know, you can kind of analyze it too much. And again, it's all outside of my own control. I have no control over it. So I'd rather just focus on my own game, working away with Packy, really enjoying the work, enjoying the training, and loving the experience. You know, it's going to be one hell of a challenge, you know. And but I'm embracing it all.
Well, it's going to be a very different atmosphere to, I suppose, a fight people will very much remember of yours was in Eddie Hearn's back garden. As you know, it's strange times that they were against Zelfer Barrett. That was in August 2020. I remember we talked to you a good bit around that fight, and that ended in disappointment. So that was so striking, that fight, because there was nobody there and you could hear every breath, and it was very intense in that respect. This is the complete other end of the spectrum. So as you mentioned, 15,000 in Glasgow, really lively atmosphere. I presume that's a more appealing prospect than Eddie Hearn's back garden again.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing, like, I always wanted to experience the possibility of fighting on Sky Sports. What would that be like, you know? And I got my chance against Zelfer Barrett. And I have to say, it was one of the best experiences of my life, but also probably one of my worst as well, in equal measure, because first of all, I got to box on such an incredible platform, and nobody does it like Sky Sports, you know. They do put on some show, you know, and they had the whole media build up to it, the fight bubble, you know. We're in a bubble over there in London, and just everything, the razzmatazz that goes with it, the whole carnival atmosphere was fantastic. And then the performance up until I got clipped with that big punch was, you know, was going so well. Couldn't have faulted it. Like, I was on course for pulling off a famous victory. And then, of course, all my dreams got shattered, you know, with one big massive punch. And that, you know, massive credit to Zelfer Barrett for pulling that off. But yeah, I've been vocal ever since, you know, that I wanted to try again. I wanted to have another go, have another crack, and here I am. I'm getting it, you know.
I presume that Zelfer Barrett experience, though, stood to you. One, it's good to have that experience, but from my memory, certainly, you made a big impression on the media around that week. Eddie Hearn was raving about what a great guy you were. Certainly, the commentary of the fight, I can't quite remember who was on commentary for Sky. You'll remember, but certainly those first few rounds in particular, where you were very much on top, they were raving about just how well you were boxing. So I suspect you were in the back of people's minds over in the UK and in Sky's mind, and that is probably one of the reasons this fight has come about. I don't know if anyone's mentioned that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, people still talk to me, still stop me in the street about the Zalfa Barrett fight. There's more people in Ireland knows Zalfa Barrett now from that fight.
know, yeah.
But
I always got the impression Eddie Hearn and others were thinking, oh, we should get Eric over again, you know?
Yeah. No, to be fair, Eddie's gone from Sky Sports now. You know, he's with DAZN. But he was speaking in an interview recently, and he was asked about me, you know, and he just said that, you know, he really enjoyed working with me that time, and I did step up to the plate, and I jumped up weight as well, and boxed very well, and handled myself and represented myself very well. And he did say that it wasn't contracted to give me a second chance, but he said that he would like to give me a second chance. It's just all about finding the right opportunity for me. So that's something else that Eddie kind of has there in the background for me, possibly another future date. That could be on DAZN or whatever. But this card here is with Sky Sports' new promotional outfit, which are called Boxer, BOXXER.
Right.
They're the new kind of, what would you say? They're the new Sky Sports promotional team, and in association with Top Rank. So it's a joint Top Rank boxer promotion. I'm in the away corner, so to speak,
right.
Just like I was against Zalfa Barrett, because Ramirez is a Top Rank fighter. So I'm the B side, let's say. But I tell you something, Ramirez is going to be fighting me in Glasgow. There's a couple of Irish lads on the undercard as well. And I really think that in terms of having the support, I'm going to be very much in the home corner.
Well, I'd suspect there's more Irish people in Glasgow than Cubans. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I would think you're right. And so it sounds not dissimilar to the Barrett fight, the Zalfa Barrett fight, in that they've picked someone that they hope their guy can beat, but they put on a good show, and it's your job to go over there and upset everyone and win.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, I'm only thinking about winning this fight. You know, I would never ever take a fight just for the sake of taking a fight. You know, I don't need to feed my ego like that. You know, it's a dangerous sport, very, very dangerous sport, serious sport. If you're doing it just for, you know, the kind of publicity and the attention and money, you know, you're probably doing it for the wrong things. I'm doing this because I feel like I owe it to myself, and I said this to everybody before. You know, I blew so many chances as an amateur, but I can't turn back the time. I can't live in the past. I can't go back. I might have a lot of regrets, but I cannot do anything about that. The only thing I can do right now is live in the present and take whatever opportunity comes my way and give it my absolute best. And at the moment, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm fresh. I'm hungry. I'm ambitious, and I'm training so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud. I'm very proud of myself that I'm selected to come up against a guy of this caliber. And there's no, you know, there's no way that I'm taking this task, this challenge lightly, or, you know, I'm under no illusions. It's going to be an extremely difficult battle, but I'm going to be up for this.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to be so.
I've no doubt, and sorry if I phrased the question wrongly. I don't mean that would be your attitude to the fight, but I suspect that's how Sky or those would see it, as he, you know, it's his night, and you're the opposition, or as you said, the in the B corner. Crucially,
the underdog, yeah.
The underdog, yeah. And they're probably thinking bigger things for him, and it's your chance to go in and upset things, which is, you know, is such a storied thing in boxing. I'm reading as well, this will be at featherweight, so that's a far more natural fit for you than the Barrett fight, because that was one of the concerns, that he had the weight advantage in 2020. So this is far more in your vicinity.
Yeah, this is my more natural weight. I'd be stronger here. I'd be fitter here, and I think I'll be right at home here. You know, Zalfa, I know he was only 4 pounds heavier than me. He was in the super featherweight division, but he was a big super featherweight. You know, he's one of the biggest super featherweights out there, and that was telling in the fight too. You know, that he was just kind of always there, breathing down my throat, a big physical presence in front of you. But look, again, that was my first time to step into that level. I had no clue about that kind of a level. I've never there before. Kind of came unstuck in the later rounds, in the deep end. I kind of ran out of ideas, didn't know what to do. But now, all of that will stand to me. You know, I've been there, so I think I can use that as a massive advantage going in here.
Yeah, because I correct me if I'm wrong, I remember from talking to you, one of your learnings, I suppose, to use a very in vogue word, one of your learnings from that Barrett fight was that you can not quite take a round off, but you got to manage your energy.
Oh yeah. You just have to be able to kind of disperse your energy in a way that, you know, allows you to be competitive in every round, for the duration of the fight, and not empty the tank, you know, in the first quarter, the first third of the fight. And that's what it was seemed to be like for me. But I've learned through my mistakes, and I've learned loads working with Packy. He's a brilliant coach, Packy Collins, and he's a teacher. There's very few teachers in the game now, and he teaches you a lot, and you know, he guides you through it, and I'm enjoying that. I'm really, really enjoying it. I find it stimulating, and I find it educating and informative, and it's brilliant. And every day I feel like I have something to build on, or something to dwell on, or to think about, you know, reflection. It's really good, really, really good.
That's interesting, because you're in the sport a long time and you're a great technician, so I wonder, in your mid to late 30s, what's Packy teaching you that you hadn't come across before?
I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's maybe someday I'll have a chat with you about it. But it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's pretty good stuff.
Look, after you win in Glasgow, you can tell us what you've been working on.
Yeah.
So, fitness-wise, what's the lead-in now like? February 26th, Glasgow, this amazingly huge fight on Sky Sports. Are you going to have to get much fitter than you are now? Are you in pretty good shape already? What's the lead-in going to be like?
I'm in great shape. We're well on point. We're well on course. I think I've about another 2 hard weeks left, and then a week and a half of tapering down, really. The last kind of 10 days will just be tapering down, and the run into the fight where you're just kind of looking after the body and the mind, most importantly, and the weight, and really just bringing it all together, bringing the whole camp together. And but yeah, that's really it. You know, I know, like, I'm in great form. Everything is good. Right. Like, you know, the sparring is good. The weight is good. My mind is good. It's pretty good. Good shape.
It shows the importance, I suppose, at the stage you are in your career, where fights fall through and then come up again unexpectedly. You can't really go all Ricky Hatton and let yourself go and then have, you know, it'd be a terrible thing if a fight against somebody like Robeisy Ramirez came up and you were thinking, oh God, I need 10 weeks to get really ready, and I'm not gonna do myself justice. It's you kind of have to keep yourself almost fight ready for that last minute phone call. So it's great that you've done that.
I know you do, and to be fair, I know I didn't always live a good, healthy life, but I do now. You know, I do now, and you know, I'm always only a phone call away from, you know, an opportunity. And you know, the old saying goes, luck is where preparation meets opportunity, you know, and this is another one that where when the phone rang, you know, I was in a position to say yes, you know, and not in a position to say, oh, well, I need more time, or, oh, I can this be, can you give me a certain amount of time? You know, no, yes, I'm ready. I'll do this. Yeah, I'm ready. And I don't have the luxury of putting things off either anymore. You know, as I said, you know, I don't want to, you know, reflect on my age and stuff like that. But like at the same time, I am 36 years old. You know, I have to take what's coming to me, and I have a choice to take it if I want to. You know what I mean? But I'm hungry and ambitious, and I want these big fights. I want these opportunities, and when the day comes when I hang up my gloves, I know I'm going to be very proud of my career.
Listen, I'm the same age. I'm living vicariously through you. Just keep going. Makes me feel better about myself. In terms of the style of fight then, so we have a two-time Olympic champion here in Robeisy Ramirez, and we have you very much of an amateur ethos, and you're both in the pros now. Will this be akin to an amateur fight? Will this be very, very technical and standing off each other and scoring points? Or what style will Ramirez bring to the party?
You know, he's not one of your typical out-and-out counter-punching boxers, Cuban boxers, you know. He is a fighter, and he's a puncher, and he's like a southpaw, but he's not a back foot southpaw, counter-punching southpaw. He's an aggressive southpaw. Comes forward, lets the shots go. He can fight it close. He can have it long. He has everything. You know, he has many strings to his bow, so that's why he's going to be difficult. So I'm not really focusing on what way he's going to come into the fight, even though I am preparing for his best. And we have a couple of tactics and a couple of strategies that we're working off. And, you know, anything can happen in a fight, but you have to be prepared for, you know, you have to have a plan A, B, and C, you know, but sometimes you might not even use either of those plans, and you might just have to rip up the script and just, you know, go dig down deep into your character and find what kind of a resolve you have in there. Something, you know, that's how fights go. They're chapters, they're stories. And sometimes you can start off wanting to be technical and wanting to stay out trouble and wanting to kind of get a lead and pick off the rounds. But, you know, that you just do not know how the fight could evolve. But what I'm trying to do in my preparation is, through my sparring, through my work, is to prepare for every possibility.
Yes. Well, do you know what? You'll be freer to talk about tactics and approaches and what you anticipated and what actually happened after the fight. So I don't want you to come on the radio and on YouTube here and give away your tactics. So I won't press you anymore on that. I guess the other thing, though, is, you know, you said if I can just turn into a war. That was unlikely to happen in Eddie Hearn's back garden, when both corners can keep manners in the fighters and get through to the fighters. 15,000 in Glasgow, someone lands a big punch or you land a big punch or vice versa. That's when it is liable to almost ride a wave of emotion if the crowd get really involved and start urging people on.
Yeah, but like, you know, I'm not saying that in terms of my agenda, that to turn it into a war or anything. I'm just saying that anything could happen, but you have got to be prepared for every possibility. Like, even if you go in, you think it's going to be this way or it's going to be that way, it might not be either. You know, something completely new might come at you, you know, a different curveball altogether, and you just have to be able to grind it out in all of that. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure that I have an answer for everything that he hits me with, and that I'm going to be in there standing with him, trading with him and fighting with him to the very end. I know I'm going to give everything I possibly have. I didn't come this far, didn't prepare this hard to not stand up and fight and give every last ounce of, you know, fighting spirit that I have, and hope I could pull it off.
Will you try and block out the crowd? I presume it's the biggest crowd you'll have fought in front of, certainly professionally.
No, I won't. No, I'll soak it all up. I'll use every bit of it, and we use it to my advantage, and just like, man, I pulled myself out some dark holes. Like, you know, there was times where I was in some really dark holes in life, and I'm going to take a moment to just appreciate walking out in front of 15,000 people to fight. You know, to fight at the very top level against a boxing legend, basically. And to me, that's a miracle.
Well, listen, I can't wait already. So February 26th in Glasgow in front of 15,000. It's going to be live on Sky Sports as well. So huge audience, and you're fighting a two-time Olympic gold medalist in Robeisy Ramirez. So it's going to be extraordinary. While I have you, I might just get a quick thought on Katie Taylor, who on April 30th will be fighting in front of a huge crowd herself at Madison Square Garden. The Amanda Serrano fight is finally confirmed, finally happening. You know, you're reading all sorts of figures being thrown around. It seems Taylor herself may gross in excess of $2 million. It's amazing what the pro career has done for the rest of her life, really. And I know it's not just about the money for her, far from it, but it's an amazing thing when you're talking about, you know, planning for the future and where she was a couple of years ago to now. But ultimately, the most important aspect for Taylor will be to win this fight, because this is the cherry on the icing on the cake. This is the one that she can hang her legacy on, and whether she continues or not, she sails off into the sunset with kind of a perfect pro career, really. But she will be up against it here in Serrano in a massive way.
Well, she's definitely going to be up against it, but Amanda Serrano is also going to be up against it. This is elite versus elite. This is talent v talent. Class versus class. Two women who are at the top of their game, broke records in the game, been leading the charge basically in female boxing. Amanda Serrano has probably just become more aware, or probably more known to UK and Irish fans because of Katie Taylor. But to be honest with you, without Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano was the woman that was breaking all the records in the professional game. She has won world titles in 6 different weight categories, from super flyweight up to light welterweight. Now, that's a 10, 12 kilo gap, that's huge. And she's done that over a period of 10, 12 years. So she's been there, done it. And she's a class southpaw as well. And, Katie Taylor, not saying that, she hasn't beat many southpaws, she has, but most of her hardest fights have come up, have been against southpaw boxers, so just going to be a lot to play for. And the bragging rights and, who's who. I think Serrano almost feels like she's been like Katie Taylor gets all the limelight and all the glory, There's a little bit of animosity, I think, between the two of them. And Katie has also beaten Amanda's sister, Cindy. So that's going to add to it as well, add an extra bit of spice to it. But look, in terms of magnitude of the fight, it's huge. It's humongous. It's in Madison Square Garden. I believe it's going to be an all-female card, possibly. So that's going to make a bit of history in itself. They are going to break records in terms of their earning potential, the two of them. But you know what? Now is their time. It's women's time, and fair play to them, and fair play to the two of them, because they've been two trailblazers in the sport, and they should get, as much benefits from it as they possibly can. But it's going to be an incredible fight. I'm looking forward to it.
And putting your heart aside, who do you make favourite with your head?
I don't have a strong favourite in it. I think it's really, really wide open. It's really. I can't confidently say Katie's going to do her, and I can't confidently say Serrano's going to do her. But I know that there's an argument for both winning this fight, and I think it's really going to boil down to preparation, but also execution on the night of performance. I hope Katie gives me a shout for sparring, because I'll happily spar her and help her to get ready for Serrano. So I helped Katie with in sparring to prepare for Ochigava, who should be in the Olympic final.
Right.
So Ochigava, in the London Olympic final, who was another southpaw who would also beat Katie before as well. They were worried about her. So I helped Katie prepare for her. And if she wants to give me a shout again, I'd happily oblige and help her to spar and prepare for Serrano.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll be chatting to you, I'm sure, in the meantime. So again, February 26th in Glasgow, be live on Sky Sports. You're taking on Robeisy Ramirez and Eric Donovan. Best of luck again. Hope it all goes well. Hope camp goes well. Thanks so much for the time this evening.
Pleasure, Joe.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Eric Donovan with us there.